enemies in Victor Vran are pretty similar to what you would expect to see in an action RPG. Spiders, even bigger spiders, and for a change, spiders that fill up your entire screen.
Like meteorite are tungsten, gold and platinum. You'll also find a unique but weak enemy, the meteor heads, which you can easily fend off.
Jarryd. Its influence can be seen almost anywhere. This is not only a classic and a truly great game, but it is a near perfect remaster.
Hello and welcome to Worldwide Gaming. I'm your host Ryan. Today Jarryd is reviewing the Diablo-esque Victor Vran. Chris takes us through Terraria's ores, and Daniel reviews a game that defined a genre, Gears of War Ultimate Edition. All that after the forecast.
Continuing on the Mario & Luigi RPG spin-off of the Mario franchise, it's Mario & Luigi Paper Jam. Crossing over the Mario & Luigi and Paper Mario universes, it combines aspects from both of the games, creating a completely new RPG experience. It's releasing for 3DS next year. The sequel to the infamous PC game Bad Rats is on the way. In the same vein as hilarious B-movies, this game is so bad it's good, and has earned a cult following after the original's release on Steam in 2009. Once again, you'll be able to plague your friends' Steam libraries with this game when it releases next year. The strategy spin-off of the Halo franchise is getting a sequel. Now being created by the strategy game veterans behind the Total War franchise, it's clear that this game will have some industry power behind it, when it releases next year for Xbox One and PC.
Zagoravia, the fallen city, the land of no return, where darkness won and we demon hunters lost.
We've recently seen a resurgence of the ARPG genre, with the somewhat recent releases of Diablo 3, Path of Exile, and the incredible adventures of Van Helsing games in the past few years. We've now seen another entry into this often overlooked genre in the form of Victor Vran, developed by Heimermont Games. While Vran doesn't reach the lofty heights of some of its better-known brethren, it's still an awfully good time, especially with friends, and it even has some interesting twists on the tried-and-true formula. There's not a great deal to the story of Victor Vran. You're Van Helsing, you're Victor Vran, and things appear to have gone rather badly in the city of Zagoravia. It's your job as a hunter to go poke things with a pointy end. While it's a little more than things happen, you react, it's just barely, and you can tell that what is there is really just a vehicle to shuttle you between areas to slaughter many and varied monsters. I have to admit though, your constant companion/stalker in the form of the Voice is amusing, with plenty of witty observations to inject a bit of life into the dungeons. In many ways he reminds me of Bastion's narrator, though without quite the same level of detailed reactions that you'll find in that game.
Have you thought about adopting your own vigilante nickname, Victor? Something like Hatman. Because of your awesome Hatman, it just rolls.
While the gameplay does essentially boil down to wiping areas clean of monster infestations, grinding away to better loot and preparing for the next champion or boss encounter, it still works and you won't often find yourself getting tired of the experience. While Victor Vran does do some novel things like adding a jump button and essentially allowing you to sidestep into different combat styles by changing your equipment, there's still not enough to differentiate it from its competitors in this respect. Changing up the formula even further and taking some more risks would be great. Perhaps in a sequel that I would totally play, Heimermont Games? Nudge nudge, wink wink. The enemies in Victor Vran are pretty similar to what you would expect to see in an action RPG. Spiders, even bigger spiders, and for a change, spiders that fill up your entire screen. There's enough types of enemies to keep things interesting, and they've also thrown in champion-type enemies, which are more powerful versions that exist purely to make your life miserable. Special mention should also go to the creative handling of skeletons that will often get up after being killed for the first time, as well as the very interesting and often horrifying elemental essence enemies that love area of effect attacks, as well as splitting into multiple chunks when you attack them. Victor Vran takes a very minimalist approach to its control scheme, which makes it very accessible in much the same way that Blizzard handled Diablo 3's control scheme. I can see Victor Vran working very well on consoles, but sadly it's a PC/Mac exclusive at this time. I like the fact that I didn't have to grow spiders for hands to reach 20 different buttons at the same time to get the best out of my character, and it was refreshing to be able to take a slightly more laid-back approach to beating chaos soundly about the face and head. While the control scheme does limit the amount of skills and items you can use, the game never put me in a situation where I felt like I needed to use more. Aesthetically speaking, Victor Vran has a very nice steampunk look to it. There's a lot of variety to the different zones you'll be murdering through, and the character models are all pretty detailed. Cutscenes are handled through the use of animatics. This is where the game's visual delivery is let down. Some of these scenes just don't look very good, almost as if someone had just slapped some Photoshop filters on some early concept art and animated it. I feel a bit more time could have been spent with these to bring the overall presentation up a notch. There's not a lot of different types of equipables in Victor Vran, which limits you to 2 sets of weapons and demonic powers, as well as your costume, which takes up what would normally be your chest armor in other games. You can also quick slot a couple of potions, but other than that you won't be seeing much. There's a nice variety of weapon types though, which covers the standard sword and gun, as well as some more exotic weapon types like Tesla rifles and scythes. Ditto for the demonic powers, where you can turn yourself into a really annoying dark mist that damages things within its radius, or the more indiscriminate ability to rain meteor chunks down on the area. There are plenty of others, and it's a lot of fun to try different combinations. These weapon types and demonic powers are how Victor Vran handles character classes, and I really enjoyed being able to tailor my character to the situation at hand by swapping to my rapier for one-on-one combat, then to my scythe to literally whirlwind my way through groups of enemies, or equipping a hammer for some truly astounding alpha damage. As you level up, you will also be offered different costumes to try on, which can further individualize your character by turning him into a tank, or accelerating the process of obtaining demonic power uses. Co-op is an absolute blast, allowing 2 to 4 players to team up and take on the hordes of Zagaravia. My co-op partner and I had a couple of abortive attempts to get things set up initially, but a quick post on the forums saw the developers update something server-side, and we were in business the next day. Items spawn for both players when an enemy drops something or something spews forth from a chest, and these items will be different for each player, which makes for some fun one-upmanship as you report in about your latest acquisition. Progress towards challenges is shared as long as you're in the same zone though, which encourages you to work as a team rather than a group of individuals, and you're going to need that help later in the game as you wade through piles of enemies. Your time with Victor Vran won't be long in comparison to other titles, as I spent about 12 hours making my way through the story. The challenges in each zone add some incentive to revisiting areas, and more of these get unlocked once you've defeated the boss at the end, so if you're a completionist I can see you easily getting a lot more time out of the game. If you've got a few friends who are looking to waste some time in a well-crafted game that doesn't quite break free of the mold, you could do a hell of a lot worse than Victor Vran. I'd recommend picking it up, even at full price.